I'm not usually the one that does it. So so we'll go ahead and start, and then we'll just see who hops on as we go. But so thank you. I know we're in the middle of summer and a lot of people have things going on, but we wanted to have a program celebrating Pride Month, and we had met with AJ a couple months ago and talked about getting together and learning what the center is doing. And we also have some events coming up and some things we're working on. So we wanted to cover all that. So usually I start off with introducing our board members. We're not all here, but most of you have met us. So Sue Birch is the co-executive director with me. I'm Jerry Burton, the co-executive director in Nevada Now with Sue, or my sidekick. So we do have Laura Campbell is here, just back from vacation. Laura, what is your title? We all just do everything. She's director of actions. We've got Lenore Ingriley, our longtime treasurer, and Madalena Robertson. She's our director of technology and media. And Sarah Evans is our director of fundraising. But again, we all do all kinds of things beyond our titles. And Madalena is going to put a couple events in the chat. So hopefully you know about them. But if you don't, we're having a Women's Equality Day event, August 26th from 4 to 7. And it's going to be at Bottega Exchange. Sarah's getting back in, hold on. And we'll have the address and everything in the chat. And 5 ways that you can support our event: buy a ticket, become a sponsor. We're also doing a nominate an activist. So if you know somebody in the community, and when you click on that, you'll see our 6 core issues. We're trying to find people that we've not met that are doing good work in the community to look at nominating for awards for our event. So you can share the event so other people hear about it. And then we're also looking for silent auction raffle items. And there's just email info@nevadanow.org if you have anything, ideas about that. And let's see.
Sponsorship. Did you mention that?
Did I not say sponsorship? Oh, become a sponsor. So it's on there. We have our first sponsor, Gender Justice. And so we're going to do some social media around these different items, ways that people can get involved. We have a little bit of time, but you know how it'll be like August before you know it. And we're really, as anybody who was on this on Zoom early today will know that we've been working on bringing attention to women in sports. It started off with Sandra and me and Sue and some of us saying, let's go to an Aces game and bring attention. And we fell in love, and now we all have, tickets and go all the time. And tomorrow night's bobblehead night, and Sue's going with me. I mean, we're pretty crazy about it. So, Sandra had a really good program the other day that we were on, and we're talking about, looking over how the women's in soccer, their contract, how they did what they did. I'm looking at all the different ways and different kinds of women's sports that we can get involved with. And Sandra's going to have an event on July 14th from 4 to 7 at the College of Southern Nevada, North Las Vegas campus. And Madalena will put all the information in there. And we're going to get together to celebrate the WNBA All-Star game that will be the next day. And, again, talk about ways that people can bring attention and get younger people involved at the community college. How you can bring attention to women in sports. And I was watching women's golf today. There's lots of different ways that we can, bring attention to this. And we've had fun, and it's a fun activist thing. It's like, not activism doesn't have to all be, hard and serious and flying up to Carson City. We can do fun things too. So we've had a really good time with it. And Sandra and I are really delving into even getting more involved in this and contacting people, and we're having fun with it. So anything else before?
And I throw my 2 cents in every now and then.
Of course, always. Even more than 2 cents. So we really want to thank AJ for taking time. We know everybody was at the Emerge graduation, and they've got a lot of things going on. So Sarah and AJ got on 2 wheels from the Emerge graduation to join us. But AJ's the director of Public Affairs and Civic Engagement at the center. And when we were talking in Carson City a couple months ago, we wanted to learn more about what the center is doing, the services, and how we can be good allies. And so we were really looking forward to having AJ come and talk to us. So You're on, AJ.
Okay, great. Yeah, it was good to see you, Sarah. You scared the crap out of me because because today I was you know, it was the graduation. It was a great event, Women of the Year awards, and also they announced me as one of the new board of directors for Emerge. Thank you. So I thought it was just going to be you know, basically like stand up and say hello. And then Sarah's like, thanks for being part of the program. And I was like, what? Panic. I was like, I didn't prepare for that. So, but that stress is good, you know? So thank you. It was good to see you. I am, as you said, one of the directors at the center. Public Affairs and Civic Engagement is what I'm doing. I had worked for the youth program for the past 8 years. So I'm kind of, you know, switching gears now, and this is a new position to the center. Basically, I want to, you know, talk to folks like you, get people into the center. So if anybody wants to come for a tour, you know, you can share my information. I'll, you know, be happy to show you around. There's a lot more than I could even talk about. It's great if you could be there and have what we call the center experience, get to see some of the faces around. And I've noticed a lot of people talking to me a little bit more candidly too about being a little nervous or intimidated to go into a space that is like focused on the LGBTQ community because you're not sure if you're welcome there, but you are. We serve everybody, even straight cisgender people. So you're always welcome. But our main 3 things that we offer are activism. And so that is, you know, can be like in this world, we think about political activism, and that can be a part of it. So, you know, we're signing on to letters of support, you know, contacting people, going up to the different lobby days and, you know, talking about our community. Activism advocacy is also helping people out. So we have our CAN advocacy program, which is a program where we train volunteers. It's 60 classroom hours, so it's you know, it's a big commitment for people to be involved. But it is nationally certified, so at the end of it, you are a nationally certified advocate. And our advocacy program is the only one that is, you know, multicultural, LGBTQ focused, and we talk about things that are just outside of the realm of normal advocacy training. And so we're the only ones that have that are nationally certified, that is this inclusive. And then we have a hotline, so people are, you know, that are our advocates that are trained can go on the hotline or volunteer at our front desk or in any of our other programs. So that's a couple of different types of advocacy that we do. Just basically advocating for the community in many various ways. Health and wellness is another pillar of ours. And so we are really expanding our clinic. We've been doing HIV testing, and we're the largest tester for HIV in the state. And so people can come and get tested for free, and you don't need any money. We do ask that it's for Nevada residents, so you have to be a resident of the state, but we would never turn anybody away. So we'll test you if you're here on vacation, if that's what you need. With that, we are also expanding that clinic service, so we are working on becoming a federally qualified health clinic. So one day we will be, you know, providing primary care. And again, like I said, we focus on the LGBTQ community, but this is really exciting for the people in our neighborhood. If you're not familiar, we're downtown Las Vegas, near Maryland and Charleston, if you're familiar with the area. It's a lot of low to moderate income in the surrounding neighborhood. And so we want to make sure that people have access to primary health care. And I think that one of the ways we can do that is to put clinics in neighborhoods. And so that's what our goal is to do. We want to have a clinic that anybody in our community can feel comfortable with. Our forms will reflect who we focus on serving. Our care will focus on who we're serving, but we really do want to get people through that continuum of care. And the start to all this is our pharmacy. So we just had our grand opening for our pharmacy not too long ago, a couple months ago. And that's really exciting because people are already starting to use the pharmacy. There's a 2-mile radius around our building where there aren't any pharmacies. So it's really providing a great service in our community. Everything that we do, we recognize the neighborhood that we're in, and we want to make sure that we take care of everybody that as much as we can. So like they can come in and use computers at our cyber center. We have 3 Square there signing people up for SNAP benefits and Medicare. We have a partnership again with 3 Square to give out food to people every other Friday. We've got shower trucks on Fridays. I mean, there's just a ton of stuff that we do when we're talking about overall health and wellness. And then the last piece is community. And we have a lot of groups that come and meet. Our youth group meets every Tuesday from 4 to 5:30 for youth ages 13 to 17. We just had our youth prom. It was massive. This is the first time we've done it off site at Palms, at Chaos at the Palms. We had about 180 young people there, just having a blast and being their true authentic selves. We have our senior program too. So we have senior programming that happens throughout the week in the morning. The lesbians have made a Wii bowling league. So we're trying to get other senior centers to join the Wii bowling league and actually have a competition. And we have our inclusive program. So a lot of our trans programs, our most popular one and longest running program is our translation. And they meet every Friday from 6 to 7:30 p.m. And it's open to anybody. It's kind of an all ages, all however you identify on the gender spectrum, which is really great because people have a lot of experience. People that have been, going through transition have a lot of experience that they can share with newer people that are just coming out and not really sure what to do, and maybe help, talk to them and guide them. Or if, somebody has questions or they're having problems with relationships or things like that. I mean, Danny's doing some awesome stuff. I hope Danny will talk about that a little bit more. There's Guy Talk for the trans masculine community, just a lot of different programs going on. And then we also try to offer space for the community. So there's been so many times where people have had groups like at their house, and then it gets too big for them to have it at their house. And they're part of our community. And so we'll say like, hey, if we have the space available, we'll lend that space to you. So we've got the L group meets on Friday nights. We've got the Gay Men's Forum is there. A lot of different community groups come in and use that space as well. Or our event hall. If you're planning something, we do rent that space out, and that money goes back to support programs at the center. Or like our electric bill and our mortgage, because that's not really sexy things that people want to donate to. However, they're necessary. Like, ooh, I donated to keep the lights on. So, if you want to rent out our event space, it's very reasonable and it's very nice. We just redid the whole thing and it's really beautiful. So come see us, come to the Jolt. Jolt stands for Jump on the Love Train. We've got great coffee, great cafe, library, just all kinds of stuff happening at the center.
That's wonderful. I've been there quite a few times, and it is I haven't seen the new improved part, but it's been lovely. We were just at an event there a month or so ago, weren't we, Sue?
About a month ago, yeah.
Yeah, just so I know people have some really great things. And
Although it could have been 6 weeks. I don't
yeah,
know.
time,
What is time?
whatever, exactly. Danny, do you have a second to maybe let us know what AJ was saying you're working on?
Happy Pride.
Happy Pride, Danny.
Hey everyone, happy Pride.
Good to
Hey,
see
So,
you.
Danny.
hi, I'm in complete bum mode, so just so you know,
I expected
Um,
skate. Usually you're skating.
right? So, one thing that I was doing at the center was called Transmotion, and it was really about social emotional skills, learning the coping skills to better identify, process, and regulate our emotions. Unfortunately, there wasn't enough of a community interest, and I want to start working other festivals, so I did my last workshop a couple weeks ago.
Oh, that's a bummer. It was so great.
Thank you. Yeah, it's funny because in the last workshop I did, there were like 12 people that showed up for it. So.
It's always like that.
Let us know when you're doing things and how we can support. And I follow you on social media and just enjoy the skating and the dancing. So,
I'm so sorry you have to see all that.
oh, it's actually very fun. Thank you.
And I'm here to support however I may too.
Love you, Danny.
Great. To
Danny,
see you.
yeah, if you ever run into Danny, get a selfie.
That's what I'm
That's
very
the
good at
goal.
selfies.
Let's go get a selfie with Danny. And I hate having my picture taken. So,
It's part of what we're doing here. So,
very cool.
okay. Sue, do you want to take it from there? The next thing we wanted to talk about was our legislative session and some of our successes and some things we have to get a Kleenex for. So,
It's all right. Am I able to share my screen?
I think I can make it happen. Let's see. See if you can do it now.
See if I can do it.
Usually Eva runs the Zoom, so I'm doing the best I can here. See, like we know what we're doing.
Ha ha ha. Ha ha ha. Let's see if I know what I'm doing. Okay, what am I doing? I am sharing. Okay, wait a minute. What's going on here?
Can you make it go full screen? Maybe anybody?
I'm
Sandra?
trying. Hold on. I'm just trying.
Where's our professor?
No, I'm just trying.
So yeah, on click slideshow and then from the beginning.
There it is. That's what I was looking for. There we go.
There we go. There we go.
Sandra,
I was trying to get from the beginning. I knew that.
you did good. And thanks.
It's the click things until it works. That's always my strategy.
That's what I was doing. I was clicking.
And thank you, AJ, for putting your information in the chat. I should have said something about that.
That was the next thing.
All right.
And I think Jerry wants to set up a tour for the Nevada Now board and anybody else that wants to go. Anyway, legislative session, kind of glad it's over. We have some wins, we have some losses, and it's pretty much I'm kind of copying a little bit from Sandra Cosgrove. Where do we go from here? We followed, as Nevada Now, we followed 106 bills. I know, a lot. I don't know how many we testified on, but I want to thank Jerry and Laura and Sarah for stepping up and testifying, sometimes at the very last minute. And I know Michelle was in there too. So, and thank you for all of you that were on here that helped us support some of these bills that were on our Slack app. So out of those 106 bills, 36 died or got put into other bills. I'm not sure where they went. But 55 passed and 15 were vetoed. This PowerPoint is going to go on our website, on our legislative committee page, as well as an Excel spreadsheet I'm doing that will give you all the overviews of all the bills, and then the ones that were vetoed, it'll give you the governor's veto message, which are always interesting to read. So here we are. These are some of our wins. Very proud of the fact that AB 292, the Dignity for Incarcerated Women, passed and finally got signed. This is something Jerry's been working on for 2 years with MassLib and some formerly incarcerated women and the ACLU. We wanted it bigger, but this is the first step. And this is a continuance of our ending period poverty stance. This will provide regular medical exams, primarily pap smears and mammograms, and better hygiene, feminine hygiene products, and more. If you saw what they got, it's awful. And then you can see more in our period poverty initiative, SB 161. This allows SNAP, Medicaid, or I think it's Medicaid. Well, federal money will be allowed to purchase period products. Federally, period products are considered a luxury, and if you've ever had a period, there's nothing luxurious about it. AB 169, labeling of feminine hygiene products, because apparently some people, some companies stick some really awful stuff in there. So that's those. We're proud of Senator Cannizzaro for codifying Governor Sisolak's executive order to protect patients coming here from other states for reproductive health care, and it also protects the providers. So that's SB 131. Kind of shocked that our governor signed it. And then, of course, I know Claire Thomas is on here. Very pleased over AB 140 and making Juneteenth a state holiday. And then I know AJ and other LGBTQ groups with Silver State Equality and Equality Coalition had six bills that focused on LGBTQ plus issues, and I believe 5 of the 6 passed. We were very much thrilled to support SB 163, the gender affirming care bill, the SB 153, which is protections for incarcerated transgender persons, and then SB 172. This is a preventative care, so minors have access to STD testing and what's the word I want? Contraception without having to get their parents' permission. So that's a pretty huge one, and I'm also thrilled that the governor signed that. Okay, so what do we do now? And this is exactly where I can't get through a legislative session without Sandra Cosgrove. She answers some of my stupid and ridiculous questions. But I mean, every 2 years we pass some phenomenal bills, but how do we know if they've ever been implemented? How do we hold anybody accountable? I strongly recommend you watch Vote Nevada's legislative roundup recording. There's no one that knows Nellis like Sandra Cosgrove. And you can find out basically by rereading the bill who is responsible for it. And we got to do something to hold them accountable. I know a lot of them were listed for the Secretary of State's office. Let's let them know. I think Sandra's favorite thing is during the interim is that she shows up at the meetings and sits in the front row just to let them know, hello, I'm here. So I think we have to do this as individuals, as a group. It's like, okay, that's great. Let's just make sure these all get done. I also have a link. I was going to go to the link, but I'm afraid I'm going to lose my screen. I'm not that technology savvy. But if you go into the Nevada State Legislature website and you click on the 80-second session, it'll take you to a page that you click on Nellis, and it'll give you a lot of information, including all the bills that were passed and signed. And I believe it's like 551. That sounds like a lot. But I think at one point, I know there was well over 1,000 bills that were out there. Yeah, Sandra's nodding. I think it was closer even to like 1,200, 1,400. It was a ridiculous amount. Now, granted, some of those might have merged, but still 555, I think, is kind of a soft signage for everything that needs to be done, and considering that we only meet every 2 years. So you will be hearing from us on some of the bills. that we have fought for on possible actions to make sure they get implemented, because we're not letting that go. So, all right, here we go. Here are the losses. 15 vetoes doesn't sound like much. But when you look at what these bills mean, they're pretty huge. SB 371, Jerry knows that we've been asking about rent control to anybody that will listen to us, whether it's some of our senators, our assembly people, and Claire can probably verify this for me. And then we talk to commissioners and city council and whatever, and local officials say the legislature has to give us the ability to work on rent control. And sometimes the legislature says, well, but they have that control. They have that ability to do so. And I don't know, there's a lot of this. So this actually, I think, would have at least started the process of eliminating Dillon's rule, if not eliminating it completely. I believe it gave local, municipalities and cities the ability to at least do something when it came to rent control. So that kind of irks me. All I can say is that elections have consequences, and I will talk about that in a second. There were 3 bills on firearms that were really no-brainers. One would have kept firearms away from election sites. One would have raised the age for possession to 21. And then the other one would have anybody with a misdemeanor in hate crimes would be prevented. So you can kind of get by looking at this, you can kind of get an idea of as to where our governor's head was at. So again, elections have consequences. I think a couple of these bills did go back to the Senate to try to get a crossover vote, because we were 1 vote short of a supermajority. And nobody stepped over that line. So a couple of these have been put aside and will come back in 2025. But I mean, we could have really used some of these. So, all right.
And just real quickly, Sue, having worked on a bill for 2 years that we did with the Dignity for Incarcerated Women bill, it breaks my heart when I know how hard some people have worked on these things, and then like Evelyn Pachenko's bill you'll talk about that.
I should mention that, yeah.
Was vetoed, but I know the work Evelyn put into that is equally as much as we did with ours, and so I think that's also the part where I've not been on the front end before. It's heartbreaking to see her. I was holding my breath over our bill, all that work, and then get vetoed. So.
Yeah, thank you for reminding me about Evelyn Pacheco, Nevada Women in Trades. She had a bill that passed, I believe, in 2017 that would encourage contractors and I think subcontractors to have a certain amount of female apprentices on their jobs. The problem was, I think it was one that it wasn't getting any traction. Nobody was really following, doing on it. And Sandra, you can back me up on this, but nobody was really doing anything. It wasn't being enforced. There was no tracking on it. So it's kind of like, okay, we did this thing, now what? Exactly what I was saying before. So ever since then, Evelyn's been working with legislators to really try to get the parameters of this idea, down on paper, that, there should be a small percentage of women on pretty much every crew. It passed Assembly, it passed the Senate, it did what it was supposed to do. I read the veto today, and the governor's reaction was there's only 250 women in trades in the whole state of Nevada. That's not enough to be able to fulfill the requirements of this law, so I can't support it. That was pretty much his statement. And it's, you know, it's heartbreaking. This is one I think I'm gonna look at maybe causing some future havoc, because as we all know, there will be some major construction going on here in Las Vegas. major construction. And I might be reaching out to everyone to see, you know, what we can do when those contractors start getting hired for that one project. So that's just something off the top of my head here. So anyway.
Sorry to interrupt, Sue, but I have a contact for you that might be helpful.
All right, send it over to me, or send it to Jerry and she'll get it to me. Perfect, thank you. But yeah, just say there's only 250. Okay, well, can we get at least one on every? Anyway.
Did he sign the veto statement, old white dude?
Yeah. That's, I have nothing against, I think women should be doing this. I have nothing against that. You know,
Well, and also just not to go on about it, but I agree with Sandra. But also, you know, if you don't have, it reminds me of women with sports. If you don't have media coverage and you don't have, if you don't have people training and hiring women, of course you only have 250 in the whole state. I mean, it's a self-fulfilling prophecy if you don't support women in trades. So we'll keep working on it.
Maybe we need a female contractor unit. I don't know. All right, let's just say non-male.
Well, Evelyn says she has Plan B and we'll be supporting that. So
yeah, absolutely. All right, so there's 3 ballot questions that went through. 2 of them will be on the ballot in 2024. AJR 6 is pretty much just adopting the National Popular Vote Compact, which I believe a number of other states have adopted. And that's for that's for president and vice president elections only. One that we're very much behind is AJR 10 asterisk. Yes, we have weird language in our Constitution still. So this will remove language authorizing the use of slavery and involuntary servitude as a criminal punishment, and it will be on the ballot in 2024. So those are at least 2 ballot questions we know that will be happening. And when I say elections have consequences, here's where we need it. SJR 7. Again, bless Nicole Cannizzaro as our reproductive health care champion. She proposed SJR 7. It's to amend the Nevada Constitution to establish certain rights relating to reproductive health care. This is one of, as our ERA was one of the most inclusive state ERAs. This is an incredibly inclusive reproductive health care statement. It doesn't just cover abortion. It covers contraception. It covers vasectomies. It covers in vitro. It covers postpartum. I know I'm probably missing something there, but it's absolutely huge. We need to hold on to our majority in both houses next year, so we can get this through the legislative session again. And so then it will be on the ballot in 2026. We are kind of crossing our fingers that in one of these past special sessions that they may have snuck it through, but it didn't happen. So we're going to have to wait till 2025, but we need to get that through in order to get it on the ballot, because we know it will pass and be part of the Constitution. And if Nevada now has anything to do with it, we'll be doing things like we did with the Equal Rights Amendment, and we'll be at every event on every day for 2 months. So.
And I just wanted to let you know that I really praised our work here, what you guys have been doing at the national conference to show how we expanded it, not just about the abortion care. So I just wanted to praise you guys because you've worked really hard on this.
Thank you, Audrey. Thank you, Audrey. All right. So here it is. This is just a small snapshot of what's happening in 2024. There will be 10 Senate seats up for grabs. The three that are highlighted, those three senators are termed out. So we, we need to hold Senator Spearman's seat. And again, maybe Claire can say something more on that. But it is possible to flip one of those other two. It can be done. Even though Pete Gocachia's district, a lot of it is in the rurals, a piece of it is in Clark County. So it is a possibility. In the assembly, sorry about that. 42, we have 42 seats. We currently hold 28 of them, and we do have a supermajority. We need to flip one in the Senate and hold the rest in order to have a supermajority. Of course, only when I'm talking do I get a tickle in my throat. Locally, these are just a couple of things. I haven't looked at county commission or city council, but we will have an election for a new Las Vegas mayor. Yes, the Goodman era will be over. And the Clark County Board of Trustees, for school board trustees, there's 4 seats available that we need to get good, awesome people in there. So that's just a little bit of a snapshot. And how can you help us? Well, Jerry already mentioned it. We're having our fundraiser August 26th. Everything will go to our Nevada Now PAC. Our political action committee has been around for 2 election cycles for 2020 and 2022. Combined, we gave out, oh geez, sorry guys. Combined, we gave out over $18,000 in those 2 election cycles. I have a pretty ambitious goal for this one. I want, for 2024, I have a goal of at least 20,000 for this election cycle. We've got the links in there on how you can help, but we're looking for sponsorships. We have ticket sales. We'd love everybody's help on this one. We do have, in 2022, we had an 84% success rate with the candidates we endorsed. We did everywhere from governor down to local offices, and including about 6 or 7 judicial seats. So it's not just Senate and Assembly. We really are trying to get the best of the best and give them our support, and they have to be good on our 6 core issues. So we hope you will support us on our fundraiser. It is Women's Equality Day because that's the day that women got the right to vote. I believe that's the history of it, Jerry, correct?
White women, we have to say.
White women, okay, excuse me. White women got the right to vote. And we are going to make this our fundraiser, I think yearly, to do all kinds of wonderful things that we like to do in the community. So if you guys want to put the links into the chat again, that would be great. Oh, we really need people to nominate activists. We have 6 core issues: constitutional equality, reproductive rights and justice, economic justice, racial justice, LGBTQ plus rights and justice, ending violence against women. Did I get them all? I think I did. So we need an activist in each one of those categories, because for the first time ever, we're going to give out awards in those categories. And we're going to have a lot of fun at this, and we are going to talk women's sports there, and we hope you'll all make it out. So that's all I got.
We have the Girl Chat Sports are going to be our MC, so that'll be fun. And also, I just want to be clear, and I think everybody knows this about us, but we endorse candidates on our 6 core issues. It's not necessarily we're nonpartisan. It just happens that if you look at our lists, it's typically Democrats. We'd love for a Republican to support our issues, and we haven't found one yet. So it's really strictly on the issues as far as how we endorse.
I also suggest tell your friends. If you know any businesses that we should talk to, let us know. But tell your friends, we would love to have you. Everybody's welcome. The Bottega Exchange, if you haven't been there, it's a pretty cool place. We're going to have some excellent food and some excellent beverages and raffle prizes and guest speakers and a heck of a lot of fun. And our cool MCs. Yes.
Yes. So I invited Sandra. Sandra usually comes to our meetings anyway, but I wanted to make sure she was here because we've been working, as we talked about at the beginning, and Audrey missed the beginning of it, but we were talking about, we've been working on bringing attention to women in sports. And a lot of us now are been going to the ACES games because that's how it started. Let's go bring attention to women's sports and go to ACES games. And then we start going to UNLV, running the Lady Rebels. And so Sandra and I have been, and other people were on she had a program the other day where we're talking about ways that we can be involved beyond that. It's fun activism, but what can we do? And so she has an event coming up I wanted to talk about and kind of, fill us in on some of that, Sandra, because we're having fun with it.
Sure. So there's a couple of reasons. Like you say, I think we just kind of stumbled into this. It's like, hey, we're bored. Let's go to the ACES game. But then, all of us are aware of the fact that the women's soccer team had to go to court in order to get just even grass to play on so that they weren't ripping their shins and knees up when they were falling down. It was a horrible, terrible way they were being treated. And it wasn't that here in Nevada that it was also horrible and terrible here, that's why we said, oh, we have to do this. Actually, it's pretty good here in Nevada. And so I think it's easier for us to say, we don't, Jerry and I aren't going to say, well, theoretically, if there was an owner of the team that would promote the ACES, they would win. No, he did that. Mark Davis did that and they won. And so it's easy for us to say, hey, look, Mark Davis invested into the A's or to the ACES. Don't say A's, ACES, because he saw that as a good business investment and he's getting return on his investment because now they are the first world champions that Nevada has had in a professional sport. And there's all kinds of things, the newspapers now, or they did a whole front page, they did a whole, not a front page, but it's also an extra page that had all the pictures from the game last night. And it didn't take much for us to get them to put the Lady Rebels over onto the front page. So it's not that we're saying, oh, Nevada's terrible and awful and we really need to help. It's no, we're actually able to move the needle because what the theoretical papers have said would happen if you did X, Y, and Z happened here. So that's one reason.
And just to pipe up, when Sandra and I first started this, we were going to the UNLV games, the basketball games, the women's, and they were not putting it on. It was like third page when they would, yeah. Right. And so we started tweeting and writing and, and next thing you know, they're on the front page. So I think we did a good job, Sandra.
Right. And it was easy. And it made it really easy because all we had to do was tweet at the RJ. When the women win, they go on the front page. If the men are losers, get them off the front page. And what were they going to say back? No, we think losers should be on the front page. No, they had to go, yeah, okay, you're right. But so that's why every day you'll see me going through the news. And if they've put something on the front page, to go over there and tweet about it and thank them. And isn't this really nice? And then they do it again because they're a good business. And it's good it makes business sense for them to do that. And so I don't want anybody to think that we're going to go someplace and go, oh, feel sorry for women, poor women. We're like, no, women are winning. It's a good business investment. Be a capitalist, put them on the front page. And then they're
more fun too.
Yeah, though they're really fun games. But the other reason I think that we kind of had been lapped in civics engagement is there's a lot of people who are very focused on, we've got a winning team, the Knights just won, everybody wants to do sports. There's a lot of positive energy, including some of the negative, but a lot of positive energy. That's a group of people that's already organized. So like poor Danny was doing workshops and nobody was showing up. So what we've done is we've just gone over and camped over with the sports people and we're just in the middle of them doing civic stuff. They're already there. We'll just, pull up stakes and go over and stand with them and talk about civics and then show them that you can take something that's fun. We have a really good time at the games. I was excited to see that we've got 3 aces that have made the all-stars, but then say, okay, well then how do we do a civic engagement? Okay, well, we keep tweeting about the fact that thank you, Mark Davis, maybe you could help other teams in other states so that other, women in other states could have that. Maybe we could do a little bit more to make sure that their pay goes up as your revenue goes up. So that would be a good thing. But as we now know, the boys basketball coach over young men's basketball coach over at UNLV, the Running Rebels, makes about 3 times as much as Lindy LaRoque, who coaches the women's team. And the men's team has not won anything since like 2002. And Lindy's taken her ladies up to the Sweet 16 twice now. They are back-to-back winners in the Western Conference. I have a problem with that. When you win, you get paid. That's the way it works. When you win, you get paid. And so eventually what I want to do is make a plan so that we can go to the Regents Diversity Committee meeting in the middle of August. Laura Perkins chairs that committee. And so Lauren is very aware of what we're doing and present it first that for UNLV, for and CSN, for NSHE, so all of the higher ed institutions, there needs to be a formula where if you win, you get paid. Period.
Seems like
and right, and that we're not going to go away, that we want to see some types of formula that, and if you're losing, maybe your pay goes down, or I don't know, there has to be, but you cannot keep continuing to pay 3 times as much for the men who are losing than what you're paying for the women who are winning. That's just equity, and it needs to make sense. I know that Regent Del Carlo agrees with us. I know that Regent Perkins agrees with us. And actually, there's almost a majority women on the Board of Regents right now with this last election. So I think that would be our big civic engagement that we can do after we have a lot of fun, is then say, how does that then translate into passing a law or a code change or something like that? And making sure that we could loop in Evelyn's bill, that if you're going to build a sports stadium, I better see women working on that. And I don't care what the men say. I want to see women working on that sports stadium, because in sports, women get treated equally. I could see us looping this in, Sue.
Yep, that's kind of where I'm thinking, Sandra.
Right? Yeah,
Yep.
Don't expect us to show up to that stadium, because we're not showing up to that stadium if women are not working on that stadium building it.
We'll go count. We'll go count.
Right? And so we can add that into it. And Jerry had a great idea that maybe we can start looking at sports bars, and maybe a couple times each month, ask the sports bar owner to have it be a women's soccer or women's basketball. And then we all show up and spend money, which they're going to like, and give them good Yelp reviews. That might be a fun thing to do. Kind of the last
suggestions on, we want like maybe a woman owned, something a little centrally located, whatever, so we could find somewhere that we could go. If you know about the one in Oregon, there's a woman who started a women's sports bar.
Yep.
The Sports Bra. And I said, but we're in Vegas. We've got 6 million sports places we can go,
right?
take a quarter.
We could even do like each neighborhood. We could have people recommend a bar in their neighborhood that we could go do a takeover. But again, say we have money, I have money I'd like to spend at your establishment. Lead that way. Capitalism works.
Yeah, change that channel to whatever.
Right.
Watch,
so we ladies here with some green in our hand would like you to please change that channel.
I think that'd be okay. I think Leslie has her hand up.
Hi, thanks. Okay, I didn't take notes, so let me see if I can remember this. First, don't forget that there's a thing, it used to be a big thing in construction, women-owned businesses, and government money can't be given to projects that don't have a certain amount allotted to women-owned businesses. The other thing I was going to say is, don't forget that the NCAA rules have changed a lot on endorsements.
Yeah.
So endorsement money might be going more to women now because they're winners, and it can all tie in again together. Like Dr. Sandra was saying, I mean, there might be some benefit. I'm just thinking off the top of my head.
No, this is what we need. We need to brainstorm and literally do all of it.
Yeah.
Everything. And they're showing that in the NC2A and then in the last Final Four, that more people watch the women's games now that they've moved them over to ESPN1. And so you're not having to hunt around and look for them, which is what the research says. Advertise them in a place people can find them to go, well, watch the games. But something they added in is a lot of the female athletes have their own Instagram accounts with like thousands of people that follow them. And they were able to tie those followers into viewership. And so that might be, again, something where we can start saying, hey, you know what? If women are already like kind of giving away their likeness for free on Instagram, they should be able to translate that into some types of monetization. They should be able to make money off that if they've already got thousands of people following them.
The coach of South Carolina, Dawn Staley, she's on a whole bunch of commercials these days.
Right?
Whole bunch of them.
So it needs to be every idea.
It was we were in our program we did with Sandra that Kelsey Plum has been saying it's not, she's not asking to make the same as the big men's players, but she'd like to at least get money for shirts that have her likeness on it, or a
Right.
percentage of what the women's basketball makes, and they do get, but it's lower than what the men get.
Because I think it's with the men, they get 50%, whatever the profit is, the men get 50% for their salaries, and women it's like 30% or
Like
something.
20 or 30, yeah.
Yeah, it's a lot lower. It's a lot
I mean,
lower.
these are contract negotiations, but I think the more attention that's brought, the more people that go to games, and then the more media attention, which is what we've been working on.
And so what we want to do, oh, go ahead, Sue.
I was just
So
going
do
to bring
you-
the
do you
I was just going to
mind-
bring the elephant in the room. One of the reasons why Brittany Griner
Exactly.
had to go to Russia to play is because of the pay inequity.
Yeah,
And
they
a
have
lot-
$1 million going overseas to play.
And if you after I don't know who all watched the Aces parade rally or whatever, but the majority of that team all got on planes the next day to go play. I think didn't Kelsey and somebody else go to Australia to play in a tournament, and they went. I mean, they literally could not celebrate that championship because in order to make money, they had to go elsewhere to play more games to earn money, and
they
That's
get hurt
why
more.
they have to fly commercial. They don't have charter planes like men's play do, and it's tiring. They go every 2 days. They're flying off to somewhere, and they don't have charter planes there.
and the more you play, the more you risk getting hurt.
Yeah.
I think what they went after the championship was because they're part of the U.S. national team, the three.
Yeah,
by
that's
three.
that's what they did when they went to Australia. But then right after
but
that,
but
they all split
a
up.
couple others went someplace else to play too. I just remember when I was on social media, I remember following them and they were getting on a plane here. But yeah, no, I know that, Laura, but still, that's why Brittany Griner was in Russia, because she needed the money.
And then she just got accosted in the airport down in Phoenix because they were flying commercial.
Yeah.
But they've got the NCAA has agreed that they can fly, WNBA has agreed that they can fly charter.
Only on the championship games, not every time.
No, they made an exception for them.
Audrey, did you want to jump in?
Yeah, I just wanted to tell you that I just did a digital marketing campaign with the unions about female workers and different things that they do, steel workers, this kind of worker, that kind of worker. And so I'm going to connect you with Bradley because I think he can really help you in terms of the unions. And the unions have power. And so I think if you connect with the unions, as a matter of fact, I talked to them this morning about trying to help New Mexico to learn how to put these kind of programs in place to train people because they don't have people that are plumbers and electricians and all these kind of things. And they want to train women. So I think that he would be a really good contact. And that's why I was going to send to you.
Okay.
But the digital campaign, it was a fun project for me because I don't get to do that many fun projects. And I mean, we just made these women look killer. And I think those kinds of things put women in the foreground. And I think that's exactly what you're talking about because that was all about the A's. It was all a digital thing for the A's.
No, I like that. And Evelyn has invited me to some of her union meetings where, I'm sitting with women who are all within the building trades and doing things. And what I hear when I sit in those meetings is them asking for their own porta potties and not getting them, and sexual harassment and some of this other stuff that's got to stop.
Yeah.
My tax dollars cannot be paying for this type of crap, and it just needs to stop. So I think this is an opportunity to pull it out into the light and say, no, no more.
Yeah, so maybe that's a way we can, get involved with Evelyn and make change. So thank you.
Yeah. But what's going to be really nice is the All-Stars game is here. It's in Las Vegas on the 15th. And so they're doing the skills event on the 14th in the middle of the afternoon, and then the actual game is in the evening on the 15th. But the WNBA just did a press release, I think yesterday or the day before, saying Clark County in the city of Las Vegas are turning the Welcome to Las Vegas sign orange on Monday the 10th. So starting out that week, and then they're going to be doing events, different types of ceremonies and events all week. So I just want to make sure that we're all online, or if there's events we can go to, where people who are paying attention to the All-Stars games is seeing all the support being generated, whether it's on Twitter or on Instagram, or people showing up to the sign lighting to say, oh, wait, you know what? Vegas is not just a sports town, it's a women's sports town. Women are really turning out for our national champions. So that whole week, but what I want to do, because it's fun, is on the 14th over at CSN at the North Las Vegas campus in the June Whitley Center. So if you've ever done like the Progressive Summit stuff, it's that big room where they put the tables. Just from 4 to 7, let's put up a mic and we can Zoom people in if we have people who can't make it in person. But let's just have a whole couple of hours where we celebrate women's sports and we talk about how empowering it is. I have invited some of the ACES team members. I'm going to have Lindy LaRoque and some of the Lady Rebels have them come. But then also say, look at all the energy in the room. Now let's turn this into people showing up to hearings when we need to pass bills or when we need to go to the regents meetings, because you can't just show up to the sports bar and say, yay, that's good. But sometimes you need to get a law passed, or sometimes you need to put some pressure on the unions to say, no, we see what you're doing and you need to knock it off. But do it in a fun way, because too often I think it's depressing sometimes because things are depressing. But on this issue, we've actually moved the needle more than any place else that I've been looking at. And we should be able to pat ourselves on the back and have a lot of fun while we're also saying, and Brittany Griner should not be going to Russia. Right? But if I put the link over there for the page that I've got on Vote Nevada, this is very much a crowdsourced thing, which no one was really going to own. So I've got some Google Docs. If people want to put hashtags or research they're doing or ideas for things we can do during that week, put them on there so that we can all look at them. And feel free to tag me or Jerry or whoever if you're doing something online. And I never thought that I would be a sports person, but I have now turned I've turned into the person at the Aces game yelling, get under the basket, rebound, what's wrong with you? I'm that person now.
Hey, some of those passes by Chelsea Gray, the behind the back ones,
Whoa,
were reminiscent of Magic Johnson with the Lakers years
I know.
ago.
Last night she was doing it again.
She's doing it. Yeah.
Well, and Sandra, just quickly, and then we'll wrap up here, but that young man that you had doing the research on the women's soccer.
Yes, Derek.
Did you have a link to some of the things you came up with? Were you gonna?
I put the link to that recording in over here.
Okay,
yeah.
Sandra kind of tasked this young man who had some time to do some research, and he did some amazing research on women in, pay inequity and sports, and
I sent him, I've got like a strategic plan of just some stuff we had brainstormed of things to do. And he said, his semester ended and he needed something to do over the summer, but he's trying to build his resume for college scholarships. And I said, well, here's a couple things we're doing. And I just let him pick of all the things we had listed on there, what he would want to do. And he actually picked researching the women's soccer team's lawsuit. And I'm like, thank God, because I didn't want to have to read through that whole thing. And boy, did he do a killer job on that. He dug into it. And it was so funny when he was doing the research, when he was talking about the arguments that like FIFA and them made back. And he's like, well, here's a stupid argument. It was hilarious. But boy, he did a good job.
He did. You can learn a lot just from seeing what he did.
I'd love to read that. And just I was gonna bring up what I told Jerry and Jerry and Sandra yesterday. Just happened to catch the first 2 parts of a 4-part series it's on ESPN. Yesterday they were showing it on ESPN2. I'm sure it's streaming somewhere. But it's called 37 Words, and it's the story of Title IX, because Title IX is 37 words.
Yep.
I saw Sarah perk up. She's like, I'm gonna find that.
Well, so what I was thinking we could do, because if it's streaming online, I could just set up like a Zoom pajama party. We do like the 9th, where we could all sit and watch it and drink wine and eat popcorn.
Well, yeah, it's like I said, I watched the first. I watched almost full 2 parts, and it's absolutely fascinating because last year was the 50th anniversary of Title IX. This morning I discovered, Sandra had told Jerry, there is a book, 37 Words, that this documentary is based on. So yeah, no.
Yeah, and that way we would like our kickoff thing that we would do that night on Sunday the 9th to get ready for like the sign to be lit and let everybody know we're doing stuff.
Because I'm sure some of the stuff that your Derek found as the arguments against the soccer players are probably similar to some of the things male coaches and administration were saying about women's college sports back with Title IX. No, don't take my money. No, don't, you know.
You didn't earn it. Nobody wants to watch it. Yeah, it was that stuff.
Yeah.
Leslie?
Can I say, oh, sorry.
There's also a really good, I don't remember, you know, I can't remember what station or what cable everything is on these days, but there's a series 2 on the LA soccer team, the Angels. I think it's the Angels, the LA. There's the women's professional soccer group that's new in LA, and it's a phenomenal series also. How they recruited, how they got their coaching, how they got their
So we could do like a what to
sponsorship.
watch type thing.
Because a lot of the
that'd be
people
fun.
who are backing these teams are like the Eva Longoria's and the Jennifer
Now that
Lopez.
women have money.
That's and they're putting their money where their mouths are when it comes to supporting women's sports and stuff like that. So it's really
we could do like a list.
They know marketing. They know target
Yeah.
marketing and how to get the word out and those types of things. The
Oh,
other thing I would just say briefly, having a daughter who, you know, being a sports person myself and having a daughter who still plays competitive sports today, she plays competitive lacrosse. Don't be scared to get involved. When I saw her first year when she was 4 and she started soccer, and I never played soccer, and it didn't meet at a convenient time. We didn't like the kids on the team. The money from the fundraiser was stolen. I thought about coaching, and then I thought, oh, I don't know anything about soccer. And then I looked at them playing, and all you had to know at that point is say, run the other way and tie your shoes. And then you can learn the rest, you know? And I mean, that's really true. So don't be scared. Tell women today not to be scared if they don't know all the rules. Don't be intimidated. When she started playing lacrosse in high school, her freshman year, she threw a ball at me. And I thought my hand was broken. And I went in the garage and I got my old baseball mitt. And it's like, you know, so you learn things all the time of how to support. So don't be scared if you don't know the game. You don't know I'd never seen a lacrosse game. When she came home and she said, Mom, I need to go hit somebody. Can you go and say you'll sponsor the team? You know, and it was like, yeah, we'll figure this out. You know, so just
I agree.
don't be scared.
Because I remember sitting in the basketball games, the first couple ones going, I have no idea what's going on, but yay.
So can I say real quick?
Well, I was just going to say, I still turn to Jean and say, why would get that penalty? I mean, I have no idea what's going on 3/4 of the time, but I'm cheering as loud as anyone there. So
I just watched the Michael Jordan movie, Air Jordan, the Matt Damon movie, and you know, I know it's about Michael Jordan, but the way he moved the needle of how sports is done is so inspirational. It's such a good movie. It's on Netflix. I really recommend, you know, if you have that to see it, just because it's so inspirational for how to make change. And then the other thing I wanted to say is we're also, the Federation's going to have a roundup with our new advisor to our board, Pat Spearman, and also with Danielle Monroe Moreno, our new chair, on July 12th. And so we'll make sure that you get the link to sign up, Jerry, that you can send out to everybody, because I think it'll be kind of fun. So that's it. Thank you.
No, and that's why I have those Google Docs on that page on the Vote Nevada site. So if you come up with any idea, just go ahead and put it over there, because it's literally just put your ideas up and we'll just roll with it as we go. Because I don't want this to be overly orchestrated or overly controlled. Because if you watch sports, the fans aren't overly orchestrated or controlled. They just show up and have a good time and run all over the place. And if you're the Golden Knights fans, apparently, I don't know if you guys saw this, but a fight broke out in the crowd, and the fans actually grabbed the 2 men who were fighting, and they're like, no, you don't do that here. Called the cops over to haul them away, and then chanted shame at them as they were being called off. And then everybody was like drinking. It's like, woo! I'm like, yeah, Vegas. I like that.
yeah, they sang like songs out front instead of fighting after the game.
Right.
So
exactly.
Viva
Yeah,
Las
so I'll put the link back over here in case you got lost. There we go.
All right. Well, I think we're doing great. We could talk about this all night. I do.
But I'll set up doing that viewing on that Sunday night. I'll do up a little flyer.
Yeah, let's
And
do
then that way we can
that.
do and maybe men can come too.
Oh. So that's funny. Just as an aside, I spoke with some people that Sandy Reed knows. I don't know exactly. They're like from California, and there are a bunch of different people, mostly white people our age, and 5 men and a bunch of women. So I was talking about what we did with the state ERA and how we worked in coalition with groups, and that's what they wanted to hear about. How do you get out the vote? How do you work in coalition? How do you do all this thing? And this guy kind of piped up because all the men were quiet, because I was talking about the Equal Rights Amendment and reproductive rights and what we're doing. Yeah, and he was very nice, and he just said, how can I make it more comfortable for men to join and help? And I'm like, no one's stopping them. How about you just join and help? You know, it felt like they wanted us to, bye Jenny, to find a way to make them feel more comfortable, kind of like Danny was saying, or
Right.
Jay was saying about going to the center. You know, hey, we would love to have men's help. You know, no one's saying don't come. we
Right. I mean, if they want to come watch sports with us, great. But you have to support the
Absolutely.
women's teams.
And if you want to help with abortion rights, join us at a rally, or
Right.
you know, help vote for candidates, or you know. But I just thought it was interesting. It's like,
That's what I want us to do, is to take this once it's like rolling and say, and we can go do this other thing, and we can go do this other thing once we have a nice big group.
well, and then when we're meeting in person and watching a game, we talk about things we're working on. So that's fun.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I'll tell you, in this house, we were just as much into the women's NCAA tournament as we were into the men's NCAA tournament.
Yep.
And some of our and some are, I think I mentioned Daily Wager. It's a betting program. The guys are based here. I've watched it like 3 or 4 times, and every single time one of them mentions a WNBA game. Every single
They're
time.
very popular.
Right.
Well, and you know, Sarah was into sports before the rest of us. So, and I've just never been interested, but I've just become such a fan now, and it's fun.
But it's almost like the opposite of like our legislature. There's like rules, and they don't do stuff behind closed doors. If you're bad, you get kicked out. And I'm like, can we just apply that to the legislature?
There you go.
So I got sent the link for was it Monday or Tuesday? They had a big rally in DC with Joe Biden on down. I mean, there were just a whole bunch of people, and the secretary of the DNC sent those to me. So, you know, I met her at the conference, and it was a phenomenal thing. And I'll send you, because I think you can still get the live link to watch it.
Okay.
But I'm going to leave you with one thing that Speaker Emeritus Pelosi said, which I thought was so hot. She said, "We don't agonize, we mobilize, and then we unionize."
Oh.
That is so cool.
Yeah, she's wonderful.
I'll send it to you.
Great, thank you.
Leslie,
right, well,
Leslie, Angel City.
Angel,
Yes.
Angel City.
My
Okay.
gosh, thank you.
But I mean, we could put up a list of
Angel
videos.
something.
Yeah.
Actually,
okay,
my
so
daughter had a
Angel
friend
City.
who was playing.
And Sandra, maybe
Okay.
share some of those on social media. Hey,
Yeah.
you heard about Title IX.
Watch this. Yeah. I think that's good.
Soccer, you know. So yeah,
Okay.
let's do it.
That sounds good.
Bye, everybody.
Thank you, guys.
Have a
All
great
right. Thanks.
Sure.
Talk to everybody later.
Us.
Woohoo.
Have a good night.
Thank you.
Of course. Thanks, Leslie.
Miss Sarah.
And